In this video, I'm going to talk about how the Ripple's attorneys just responded to the SEC's attorney-client privilege claim, in which, of course, they're trying to keep these Bill Hinman emails hidden. Ripple's attorneys did a masterful job of ripping their argument apart, so in this video, I'm going to talk about what they said. Also, there is a lot of very powerful world leaders meeting in El Salvador today to discuss a few things about Bitcoin specifically. So I'm going to tell you what the president of El Salvador just said they're going to talk about and what some of the conspiracy theories are around why so many countries are represented in El Salvador today to talk about Bitcoin. Also, we're going to talk about what is going on in the markets because as of recording right now, it is very early Monday morning and some of the futures markets have gone red. So we're going to talk about what that could mean for a possible pullback in the crypto market, Bitcoin, XRP, as well as some of the other markets. And that was sparked because of what just happened in China. Now, and I don't know if you follow CNBC or other financial news channels, but on Reddit, there is an inverse Jim Cramer index. And the index is actually outperforming the S&P 500 by over 30%. That's right. If you do the complete opposite of what Jim Cramer from CNBC says, you'll be outperforming the S&P. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And this is vacation edition of the Late Night Grind. Obviously, you see my background is very different. Hopefully the content I provide for you will be much of the same. And as you know on this channel, we cover the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Late Night Grind community. And if you want to support the channel, best thing is to do these three things: smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end, and check out my Patreon, link in the description below. If you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Alright guys, let's jump into it. Hopefully the audio comes out well because there is some wind and some waves behind me because I'm doing this video outdoors. So let me know in the comment section below if it sounds okay. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is what's going on in El Salvador revolving around Bitcoin. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, just announced that there's going to be 44 countries represented in El Salvador today to discuss a couple of things, namely Bitcoin. They're also going to talk about banking the unbanked, digital assets, financial inclusion, and the digital economy as a whole. So represented by 44 different countries, there's actually going to be 32 different central banks as well as 12 different financial global authorities represented there. Now, they're going to be talking a lot, obviously, about the cryptocurrency world with Bitcoin and digital assets and things like that. But there's a few conspiracy theories going around as to why that many central banks are going to be there and why that many countries are going to be represented. So on the one hand, there's a theory going around that, well, the central bankers, they want to see what they're up against. They want to see what people and countries that are adopting cryptocurrencies and making them legal tender. These central bankers want to see what exactly they are up against. Because central banks and Bitcoin, well, they're not exactly simpatico. In fact, the central bankers do not like anything that's decentralized. However, based on some of the countries that were listed, some people are theorizing that there's something could be going on that is in fact the opposite. And that is essentially an economic union coming together by all of these different countries and central financial powers that be that might have a big interest in Bitcoin, and not just learning about it, but learning how they could actually adopt it. Okay, so now let's talk about the markets because things are getting really, really interesting. Before I started making this video, I just took a look at some of the futures markets, and in the United States, they are turning red. They are turning negative. The S&P, the Dow Jones futures, they are all turning negative. That's usually not a good thing for Bitcoin and some of the rest of the market. So before Monday morning at 9:30 Eastern Time, United States time, when the markets open, my speculation is that it's going to open in the red. Obviously anything can happen, but right now there's some speculation on Twitter that because these futures are going so deep into the red, that it's probably going to be a very red Monday. And usually when that happens, the NASDAQ goes red, and then when the NASDAQ goes red, usually cryptocurrencies go red. But why is this all happening? Well, Friday was a great day. It was a very green day. A lot of things went up in value. A lot of the indexes went up in value. A lot of the cryptos went up in value. However, over the weekend, China came out with some very dire financial news, some not good financial news. In fact, some of the analysis that I saw speculate that this is what could lead China into a deep recession. So what exactly happened in China? Well, a lot of their indexes reported earnings that were off the charts wrong. Their inflation, of course, continues to skyrocket. Their growth and investments year over year failed to hit expected marks, and some of those failed to hit expected marks by wide margins. So some of the speculation is that these numbers are not looking good for China and could actually push them into a recession, and that is why the US futures indexes went into the red very early this Monday morning. So obviously we're going to see what's going to happen with Bitcoin and XRP. I just saw some more speculation in terms of what's going to go on with the cryptocurrency market. Everything right now revolves around Bitcoin. I know I cover XRP a lot on this channel, as well as some of the other altcoins, but right now when there's so much uncertainty and so much volatility in the market, everything revolves around Bitcoin. And when you have a huge story like what happened last week with Terra Luna and a $40 to $50 billion collapse, which I'm shocked that more mainstream people aren't talking about that right now. You're gonna have a lot of uncertainty in the markets, especially when a stable coin came crashing down along with it. So right now, all eyes are on Bitcoin. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to keep you guys updated on the Ripple versus the SEC case as news comes out. Because obviously, if you've been watching this channel for some time, I'm extremely bullish on XRP. Most projects, a lot of projects on the XRP ledger, but specifically XRP itself. Once Ripple wins this case and XRP gets its regulatory clarity, the risk reward for XRP is getting greater and greater by the week, at least in my opinion. All right, so what went on with this, with the Ripple versus the SEC? Ripple's attorneys recently responded the other day, and in this response, they were basically breaking down the SEC's argument as to why the SEC does not, in fact, have client attorney privilege with all of these discussions revolving around Bill Hinman's speech, all of the email discussions, all of the people on these email chains, all of the input it received, that doesn't in fact have client attorney privilege. And so this was actually a very well thought out, as usual, argument by Ripple's attorneys, specifically Matt Solomon, who is a master at tearing down the SEC's arguments. So what did they do? Well, there was actually 4 different things that they pointed out. Number 1, Matt Solomon concluded that the SEC did not in fact establish that Mr. Hinman communicated with SEC staff for the purpose of obtaining or providing legal clarity, which is true. He also says, number 2, Hinman did not have an attorney-client relationship with SEC lawyers in his personal capacity. Number 3, he also says the disclosure of the communications would not reveal the SEC's confidences, which of course the SEC is saying, well, listen, if these were revealed, if these notes were revealed, these emails, all the discussions were revealed, it's going to reveal essentially how the SEC comes up with its framework and how it decides things when it's formulating laws and securities laws, which of course this isn't the case. Because if it was the case, the SEC would have disclosures with all of those people noting that the discussions were going to be involved in SEC law framework. And finally, number 4, and in my opinion, this is the most important thing here. He says the SEC lacks standing to even assert client attorney privilege. And when I was reading some of the analysis in it, the reason why they said that is because only Bill Hinman himself could actually come into this case and say, I have client attorney privilege. The SEC can't do it on his behalf, especially since he's not even commissioner. He doesn't even work at the SEC anymore. Only Bill Hinman specifically could produce this, and being that he is not involved in this case specifically, other than being deposed, he nor the SEC can actually assert client attorney privilege. Now, this is just one of those things in the long line of everything that the SEC has done up to this date, which is delay, make up stuff along the way, stuff that they know they can't get away with, but they're going to do because it forces the judge into a weeks-long decision-making process. Ripple, of course, has to respond, and it takes weeks, which is exactly what the SEC wants. So, nonetheless, I highly doubt the SEC is going to win this argument. They lost all their other arguments that they put forth in order to try and hide Bill Hinman's emails. But we of course have to wait for that decision. So if you want to follow along and hear about that decisions or any of the other stories that I cover on this channel, make sure you subscribe to the Late Night Grind community. Also, I'm going to put a link in the description below to my Twitter account. You can follow me there. I talk a lot about all of these stories. I retweet these stories, have discussions about these stories. But your homework for right now, let me know in the comment section below what your prediction is for the markets this week. Alright guys, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.